Hey!
To Only Stupid Answers. If you were here earlier, you'll know that
There's a
the
lot of
stream buffered real bad, and we had to start over.
Yeah, there's a movie we saw that had sounds like that. I'm going to start the audio recording. Ready? Mm-hmm. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, and welcome to Only Stupid Answers, Fantastic Fest Edition, live from Austin, Tejas. Thank you to Danny M for joining us once again. Yes. We're going to be talking about all the episodes, or the movies on this episode that we saw on opening night. That's Thursday, September 20th. At Fantastic Fest, we saw, I think, a total of 4 movies between the both of us.
Yes.
And
yes,
I was able to see the premiere of a very big movie that y'all are going to be able to see, but I think you're more interested. You're going to be more interested in the one that we saw at midnight because I can't explain it. I don't know. We're going to try our best to explain it.
Yeah, we're more interested in trying to process that one together with you guys.
Because it's so weird.
What exactly we went through and we saw and what happened.
It's so weird. And there's other movies too, but that one's it might be one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen at this convention. But
yeah, so
we should go back.
So for those that don't know, Fantastic Fest is a genre film festival in Austin, Texas. This is our second year going.
Mm-hmm. Humble brag.
Why?
Done it 4 times.
I know, but it's our second time as Only Stupid Answers.
I'm a veteran here.
They know his name, all right? And so there's a bunch of movies, and genre means horror, sci-fi, crime thriller.
Comedy, animation. It's a grab bag of everything that you're probably going to love. There's going to be something for everyone at every single screening. So we just watch movie after movie after movie in one of my favorite cities in the world, and we got to see some cool ones. And also this is not just like somebody had $5,000, made a movie, and then now they're going to watch it here. These are like top-notch movies from all around the world, and so there's even premieres of movies that are like pretty big.
Exactly, and so this wasn't a premiere, but this was a big like.
You can call it at least an Austin, Texas premiere.
There you go, boom, and it's a fairly larger movie. Sam, what'd you see last night?
I saw Halloween, the 2018 second reboot of this franchise.
At least the second,
because there was one a couple years ago that they
H20.
Yeah,
is that H2O? Because it's the 20th anniversary. Oh. And also, Jamie Lee Curtis was also back for that one.
Wait, I thought it was the one in 2009 that I was talking about.
Oh, with the
other reboot. Yeah.
There's at least 2 reboots.
Yeah, there's at least 2 reboots.
Well, and this is what I would think would be considered a soft reboot in that it acknowledges the first movie. And that's it. It's pulling a Jurassic World. Hey, remember that first movie you liked? That happened. Yeah. Everything else was pretended did.
You don't have to worry about it whatsoever. And thanks to everybody who's joining us live on the stream. But yes, here's a quick synopsis for Halloween.
Oh, read it for us.
Laurie Strode comes to her final confrontation with Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago. So that exactly, it's like that first movie happened. Yeah. Time. And now we're here. Yes. Okay, so I was able to see this. You weren't able to see this because you watched a different movie that would never play anywhere else in the whole world.
I was bummed that I had to miss this, and it sounded like a cool experience, and it sounded like a cool audience to see it with. But
it was very fun, and I will be candid with y'all. I have never seen a Halloween movie before this. You know it. You know the dun 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 dun. You know that. You know what the mask looks like. Actually, you taught me what the mask actually is.
Yeah, it's some. I want to say it's John F. Kennedy. It's some sort of president. It's supposed to be like a president mask.
That
it doesn't look good, and then by the time Michael's done with it, it looks even less good.
Gross. That's pretty cool though. Yeah. The movie is, I will say, like right off the bat, this new Halloween movie is really solid. It has just to get into the critiques a little bit, just up top, because there's so much good that I want to talk about. I will say it's pretty paint by numbers overall, and so it's not. It won't be too scary for most people. So just put that out there. It's on the chat.
In the chat, Maggie Whitmer says, "Too scary for me."
Well, no, I promise it is not. It is not too scary.
And David Rodriguez is correcting me. It's a William Shatner mask.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
But funny. I don't know if it's supposed to be in the movie because I doubt William Shatner was like, sure, yeah.
Maybe it's a Kirk one. Who knows? But just to nitpick a little bit, it's a little bit paint by numbers, and there are some predictable things, and everyone's kind of a trope.
Yeah.
But they're the good parts of these movies are really good. Like if you want crazy over the top action, you're like, why is Michael so strong? There's no reason for him to be as strong as he actually is. Yeah. But if you're like okay that sometimes you'll get a surprise of him like pinning a dude to the wall with just a kitchen knife. You're like, how is he even up on the wall anymore? Like, he's dead, but how did he do that?
Yeah, Michael's always verged on borderline supernatural. I don't know if any of the sequels say he has any supernatural attributions. I know in the first movie.
Oh, they did. I promise you they did. They started
in the
getting
later
it.
ones.
Yeah.
In the first one, it's not. It's that question of like how it's not like Jason or at least later movie Jason or Freddy, where it's definitely 100% there's a supernatural thing going on. So it's cool. It's cool. I do recommend for those out there, if you haven't seen it, see the first one just because John Carpenter's amazing, and the first one's so iconic, and it's kind of like the birthplace of a lot of our slasher movies. What we have there. So don't miss out on that.
And you guys will enjoy this movie because when it was being introduced, Jamie Lee Curtis came out, which is really cool.
Amazing.
But also Danny McBride came out, and I was like, what?
Co-wrote it.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't know what you're going to be doing in this movie exactly, because and it was a fun surprise when you start hearing the humor in the movie because it's actually super solid.
That's dope.
There's a scene that you're gonna find a character in this movie that might be one of your favorite characters in a horror movie. It's this little kid who's being babysat, and of course, Michael's probably not far behind with this scenario, but his relationship with the babysitter is so funny. Yeah. She's like, she's a teenager now, and she's like, more interested in like boys or whatever. It's very stereotypical, like a high school thrasher movie.
Yeah,
which is great. But their relationship where he's like, you're lame now. You're just texting all the time. I know you're talking about smoking weed. Like I know what that means. It's like, I'm not an idiot. And he's just like clipping his toenails as he's like talking shit to like his babysitter. And there are some good kills. There's some goofiness with some of the storylines. But overall, I think you'll enjoy it because Jamie Lee Curtis gets some badass moments. And there's this story of legacy within the movie about Jamie Lee Curtis, her daughter, who, based on the events of the first movie, she's kind of been training Judy Greer, that's the actress, been training her daughter to be prepared for anything like this. And Judy Greer, was not happy to have a childhood like that, which that's obvious. That makes sense. So her daughter, the granddaughter of Laurie Strode, is a rather normal daughter, but or normal kid.
Yeah.
Each of them gets such cool moments in this movie of like, so if you want like a really cool movie of like, it's kind of like empowering for women, it felt like, because at the end they get these awesome moments where it's like they kind of like, it's outsmarting Michael, but also since Michael is he's Michael Myers, he's crazy, so he's still able to kind of compete with them, but it's cool to see how capable they are, and there's some good moments. Also, there's a character from the first movie, if you vaguely remember that movie, or if you go watch it like DJ's recommendation, you'll see him immediately, and he and Laurie have a really cool moment together.
That's cool. I know it's this movie's directed by David Gordon Green, which makes sense why Danny McBride's involved then, because they have collaborated extensively. And David Gordon Green has done a bunch of different movies, from a bunch of like indie dramedies that people really admire to like Your Highness.
He did that?
Yeah, and wow, why am I
blanking? He did Joe with Nick Cage a while back.
Joe, which was lauded, and
Vice Principals.
Yep. He directs episodes of Vice Principals, which is so good. And then the Stone Economy with Jonah Hill and what's his face? I'm blanking so hard on it right now. Pineapple Express, which is amazing. I love that movie.
So that's interesting that he went from there to here. And
he's been all over.
There's some dumb characters in the movie, but overall, because of how it's just, it doesn't try too hard. It's just very... it's just very by the numbers, but it's still very enjoyable. If you like crazy, I wouldn't call it gore, but crazy deaths, where you just like all of a sudden you come back and like this person's been murdered in a way where you're like, that's not even humanly possible. Also, there's one tracking shot in the movie where Michael's just walking through like kids who are trick-or-treating, and you're like, sweet Christ, this is so scary. But all he does is walk into a house, murder a person, walks right back out, goes to another house, murders another person. And it's just constant, and like it's not cutting. And there's this great scene where you see a woman on the phone getting warned, like, hey, I think there's a murder happening. He's like, oh, okay, I'll go lock the doors. And she does it in the opposite direction that Michael's walking, so he's able to get inside the house before she does it and hide. It's so scary. But overall, I'd recommend it. Out of the movies we've seen, I've actually not been super lucky with opening night, like first movie I've ever seen at Fantastic Fest.
Gotcha.
I was very lucky to see like an actually really enjoyable movie.
Dope.
Because sometimes I would do like, oh, I don't want to see the
big
popular
one,
movie.
yeah.
So I'd be like, oh, I want to see this Polish horror demon movie. And I was like, oh, this was really stupid. But I was like, oh my God. And it's twice as long as Halloween. Oh my
Yeah.
God. So highly recommend that. And it's cool that I get to recommend a movie that you guys are actually going to be able to see. So
Yeah.
that's super cool. But while I was watching that, you saw a different movie.
Yeah, I was excited to check out Halloween, but they scheduled it at the same time as a movie called The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, which, if you do not know, that's Terry Gilliam. We just looked up at the pronunciation of his name, and I think I messed it. It's Terry Gilliam. And he's been working on making this Don Quixote film for at least 25 years, getting up to like 30 years. And there's a documentary about the last time he got close to making it, called Lost in La Mancha. And it's at that time it was supposed to be, that was in 2000, with Johnny Depp starring, and then a famous French actor as Don Quixote. And literally, it's like the 7 plagues happened when they made the film. Terry Gilliam kind of has a loose way of making films to begin with, which kind of stresses out the people around him. And then actors, because the budget was half of what they wanted, they had trouble getting the actors to come in for extra days to just do screen tests and costume tests and schedule, because literally every part of the movie is from different parts of the world. So organizing that, and then they start shooting, and they were by an Air Force base that was supposed to be off duty then, and they're flying jets overhead, and then a rainstorm comes, which starts flooding away the gear. The gear starts flooding away, so then they started having insurance issues, and then their Don Quixote had medical issues, and he just left. And the movie went away. And then for the past however many years, he's been trying to make this movie. So the fact that it's finally done, and there's been some legal troubles with this version, the done version. So there was rumors it wasn't going to play in the U.S.
How do you know why exactly?
Because I think when the last production fell through, the insurance company got the rights to the script, and he was supposed to buy them back. And I think he did. But there's some complications there, I think, is where the complications came from. So there was rumors that it wasn't even going to screen in the U.S. And so when I saw the screen, it's like, I just need to see what I just need to see. You know what I mean? And of course, with all that buildup, I think there's no way the movie could be any more than it's fine. It's fine. There's no way a movie can live up to 25 plus years of buildup.
Yeah, no, and also you had a good pitch for basically how he got this movie made. It was like he had to take out all the ambitious things.
Well, when you see Lost in La Mancha, there's these really big, ambitious set pieces that he sets up, and almost none of them are in the movie, which was kind of a bummer. But it was a lesson learned. If you want to make the movie at a certain point, you got to make these concessions, and he made them. And so now this movie, he went through Ewan McGregor was going to be in this movie for a minute. A bunch of people were going to play Toby, the main guy. Now it's Adam Driver, which is dope because Adam Driver is so good. He's good in the Star Wars movies, but when you see him in other movies, it just always he always captivates me.
Yeah, you didn't see Black Klansman. He's amazing.
Yeah, I haven't seen Black Klansman yet, but he's if you get a chance to see Patterson, it's on Amazon Prime. I can't recommend that enough. He was in Midnight Express, and he's amazing in that. Every movie I see him in, he's just so good. He's so good. This character of Toby's a little bit of a scoundrel, and it's interesting how if you can see if Johnny Depp was playing it, it'd be straight up that lovable scoundrel. Where you can see with Adam Driver, that's not naturally who he is. So Toby has the sense of he's become something he's not. You know what I mean? He's become the scoundrel when he's actually a pretty decent guy. You know what I mean? So he's great. Do you have it up there?
Yeah, I was also looking at Terry Gilliam, what else he's directed, because the name is familiar, and I was like, oh.
Well, I mean, 12 Monkeys. He did Brazil. His start for notoriety. He did a lot of stuff with Monty Python
and the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
He did that one, and also just looking at it, I didn't realize he did Brothers Grimm, which is not a great movie.
Yes, that was.
And he did the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, which is it was the last movie Heath Ledger did, and then they had to recast him with 3 different actors to and it played into how weird and wonky that movie is.
Yeah, he likes to do weird, striking visual stuff, and this is not his most visually striking thing. Richard Price plays Don Quixote, and he's really good.
Here's your synopsis for you.
Go for it.
Toby, a cynical advertising director, finds himself trapped in an outrageous delusion of an old Spanish shoemaker who believes himself to be Don Quixote. In the course of their comic and increasingly surreal adventures, Toby is forced to confront the tragic repercussions of a film he made in his idealistic youth, a film that changed the hopes and dreams of a small Spanish village forever. Can Toby make amends and regain his humanity? Can Don Quixote survive his madness and imminent death? Or will love conquer all?
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, and so it's a fun movie. It was worth seeing it just to kind of see how it all ended up. But it's I don't know if it's going to be like my top movie of the festival. You know what I mean?
There are some really good. There's Stellan Skarsgård's in
Yeah.
it. There's a lot of really good, cool actors in this.
There's a lot of good actors and a lot of good stuff. It ends like 3 different times.
That's kind of annoying.
It's actually a thing that I've noticed with Fantastic Fest movies is that they could a lot of them could like end earlier. Like the movie, Midnight Movie last night. It's like you could have wrapped this up a bit quicker. And the most notorious one
Yes,
was
it could have.
what is it? Not Machine Head. What was the
Junkhead.
Junkhead.
Yeah.
That was like
Junkhead could have ended 70
Or-
minutes before.
it had an ending. You know what I mean? Like had a anyway.
It's a movie we talked about last year. Go
Last
check
year.
our Fantastic Fest coverage
all
out
those
for
videos
that.
there, but it was cool. It was a cool opportunity to see it. If you get a chance to see it and you care about the story, I went and saw it because I cared about the backstory of it. I recommend checking it out just to see how it all plays out, and also great performances by Jonathan Pryce and Adam Driver.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We also got to see a movie together, finally.
Yes.
And this is a movie you were excited about because you knew some people or you were familiar with some of the people who were working on
Who worked on it? Yeah, they worked with a friend of mine, and I was able to meet him after the movie. There was a Q&A. They were there, and so I got to say hi to him.
And this was really cool because it got a quick intro from the director.
Yes.
But let's talk about The Wind. It's a new movie coming out, and I don't know. This is probably not going to get a huge release.
No, it just got picked up, so it's not. It's gonna get international, but like limited release nationally. Yeah,
Which is not bad. So if
Yes.
you guys have like an ArcLight near you or a Lemley or something like that, you could probably find
or an
somewhere to
Alamo
watch it.
Draft House.
There you go. But here's your quickie synopsis. A supernatural thriller set in the western frontier of the late 1800s. The Wind stars Caitlin Gerard as a plains woman driven mad by the harshness and isolation of the untamed land. The film is directed by Emma Tammy, and then it goes into more people who wrote this and directed this movie. But Emma Tammy is a very good director and a
Yes.
star. And Caitlin Gerard, I'll just get into this. She was a great lead. She was she was a
amazing.
powerhouse.
And
she was
it's,
amazing.
It's crazy because like a majority of the movie is her.
Yeah. So you
like-
need her to be really
Yeah.
strong.
And it looks like she was in an Insidious movie at one point. She's done some stuff.
Yeah, and also she was in Smiley, which no one is gonna know what
Yeah,
that
that's
is.
fine. We don't need to.
No, but
Yeah,
it's a YouTube movie. It
I
was
know.
something from early years,
Yeah.
which I thought was kind of fun and interesting.
But
And
but
she was in Social
Network. But yeah, for me, this movie was way up my alley. And she said at the beginning that this is based on real accounts of women going crazy on the prairie just because of the constant wind. And you're like, wow. And then you start watching this movie and you realize, oh, I would go fucking crazy too.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize how isolated. And I was talking to the production designers after, and it's people just went out there so they could have their own piece of America, and I'm like, not worth it, not worth it in my personal opinion.
And
And
a
that's
lot of-
even before any of the potential demon shit starts happening.
Yeah, a lot of people like to have the idea of like, I just want to run away to the mountains and be by myself or be with the person I love or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, do you really want to? Because this movie has a really good pitch for not doing that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being at least an hour's ride away from a town, from any person.
I think an hour's walk is about as far as I could
Boom,
go.
there you go. That's
Yeah.
actually pretty good. So the setup here is, I don't even remember the character's name. There's so little dialogue in there.
There is. Her name is Lizzie.
Lizzie, and then her husband Isaac,
Yes.
because his name matters
Yeah,
later on.
her name is barely said in the movie.
Yeah, and then Emma,
Emma.
and then
Gideon.
Lizzie, our main girl, it helps. I guess helps Emma give birth.
Yeah. So the
And
movie.
it doesn't go great.
Basically, the movie's kind of told out of order, and
Yeah.
you're starting with kind of the catalyst for Lizzie being left alone
for at least a couple days.
Yeah, for a couple of days, but also during that, as she's starting to lose her mind, you're starting to get fragments of her memory, kind of out of order. But you have enough lead to figure out what the order of the scenes are.
Yeah.
So the timeline of the entire movie is Lizzie and Isaac are out on the prairie, and they built themselves their own life, and it's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice enough that they can kind of deal with it.
It's functional.
That is the best way to say, because
functional.
it's economic. It is not happy in any way. And their life's been pretty hard. They had a child, but stillborn, not great. And then a couple comes out and takes a house that was near them, and so their lives start to get intermingle.
Near them. It's like a mile away.
Yeah. And so you see the light turn on like in the distance, but you're still like, that's creepy as hell. And also, so there's still privacy between them. Like you can't hear them from a mile away. Still not great. Anyways, the lives of these people start to get intertwined and really kind of messed up pretty quick. And I don't know how spoiler we want to get with this.
No, we shouldn't. I would like to see people see this. For me, the first, I want to say the half-ish of the movie was basically perfect, because it's a really great example of setting a mood, setting a vibe, setting a feeling, as she's alone trying to process her grief from all the things that have happened to her and around her, while she's haunted by this notion that maybe there's something out on the prairie. But it really sets up this, like, you don't really know if there is something out there or if she's legitimately just losing her mind, because you really do think, like, you could buy that. You could buy losing your mind in this environment. And then there's a turn where it doesn't necessarily explicitly become supernatural, because I left the movie still thinking that there might not be a supernatural thing.
Yeah.
But it really starts banking harder on more conventional horror tropes.
And specific stuff.
And that's where it kind of like, because it was less interesting than the psychological stuff, that's where it kind of lost me. Especially since the set design and the care and detail, like a lot of the props and costumes are authentic, like not built for the movie that gotten it from that time period, stuff like that. Yeah,
that's interesting.
And they went through books, and a lot of the detail, they spent a lot of time getting the details right.
Well, they kind of have to, because you're in one house for most of the movie.
And they talked about how the whole house was set so you could literally shoot from any angle and it would still work. And then they started introducing some CG elements, and that did not look as cool as anything else in the movie. So it was almost perfect for me until it became just cool.
I think I could explain one scene that was pretty perfect without getting into too many details that would still be exciting for you guys to see. Basically, she's confronted with a animal, and she's able to like secure herself away from the animal, but from the other side of the door, the animal starts to make different sounds, and the shadow of the animal changes from the other side of the door. Yeah. You don't know what that means exactly, and you don't know to what extent if even those animals are out there. Yeah. And so it's really cool, because it kind of cuts to her going to sleep after that. So you're like, and when you saw that the animals were around like some of her property, like where she was hanging up clothes, and when you go outside later, it had fallen over, and you're like, maybe it knocked it over, or it's the wind. Like it literally, the wind explains that.
It could be the wind. Yeah, there's another sequence where she's, it's a flashback where she's left alone in the dark, and it's classic. Really thinking about the scene, it's classic bump in the night shit. But because she is so isolated, it's like, ooh, I hate this.
Yeah,
I hate like the fact that you don't have a neighbor. You don't. If you scream, there's literally nobody in the world that will ever know you even existed out here. You know what I mean?
No.
And it ratchets up the tension in a very, very interesting way.
And they do a good job with just like the door will shake a little bit, and it starts to sound like knocks after a while. Like there's no way you don't hear knocks.
Well, because we're staying in Austin, we're in a strange place. You'll hear weird sounds. You're like, well, I guess we're just gonna have to roll with that, because I don't know where I am.
Yeah, it sounds like a door closed, but couldn't be. Yeah. There's no reason. It's my brain trying to figure this out. That's what That's what this premise is, but times a million. Yeah. It's the worst, and she goes through the ringer as a character, but she kills it. As a critique from me, I don't think a lot of the other actors in the movie they're not quite as good.
Yeah,
and when it gets the more supernatural CG and makeup heavy stuff, it gets a little. Then the budget pokes through, and it's not as good.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I did enjoy it. Now, are we ready to dive into our last movie of the evening?
I don't even know if this is going to be on IMDb, I'll be honest, but I'm going to look it up, because it is. As someone who's been to this festival for a while now, I think it's fair to say this is the strangest, most original, most mind fuckery movie I think I've seen at the festival.
Okay, so we're talking about Violence Voyager. Violence Voyager.
It came out this year. Yeah,
this is technically an animated film. I would. It's not.
It's a good poster
it's
for
a
it.
really great poster for it. It's not stop motion per se. It's more like cutout. Like
It's like puppet theater kind of thing,
yeah,
where you
which sounds lame. That aspect of it, I didn't think was lame. I thought they did some interesting things with it.
basically you get these hand painted kind of 70s era Godzilla movie poster like monster movie thing. So it's got a very specific art style, which we'll show on the screen in just a second. But it's and so
also, let's not so it's that animation plus use of actual liquids.
yeah, just cause.
Yeah,
I think maybe it was too hard to animate the other things.
Well, let's be fair, they really lean into it too.
They really make it gross as shit.
Yeah, it's an exceptionally gross film. Also, for me, right off the bat, I don't know about you, but for me, other than when our host was like, "Hey, there's use of actual liquids," and it's like, what do you mean when you say that?
Yeah.
It's when we see this character who's got a waffle forehead that's never explained.
It's already like you're kind of unsettled by it.
Yeah, it's like why nobody's mentioning it and everybody's treating it like it's just a normal thing. And he
gets bullied for a different reason. And you're like, what are you talking about? I'm sorry, I got easy fodder for you. This is an easy one.
Let me help you bully this kid.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
I got the synopsis. It's a little lengthy.
Go for it.
And it's got some spoilers in it. So I think
you know
that's
what?
fair.
I think that's fine.
Here we go. Following an end-of-term school ceremony, the American boy Bobby decides to go with his friend Akun into the mountains outside their village to a place perfect for a secret base. On the way, they stop into a mysterious amusement park. They have fun there, but are attacked and cannot leave. Falling in with some other children who are also lost there, they fend off a number of attacks and gradually learn the truth behind the facility. It was put there by a man named Kyoki as a trap for passing children. His son, Takashi, needs to feed on human children in order to survive. Akun is killed, and Bobby is captured with Tokiko, a girl they have met there. She disappears, and this is just the synopsis.
This is movie. I think you've gotten you get the gist of the movie.
I don't think so. It keeps going, though. And
Yeah.
I think I got to say the rest of it. Hold on really
Okay.
quick.
All right.
It's a girl they met there. She disappears. Koyoki goes to work on Bobby, trying to fatten him up. Bobby manages to escape with the help of Suriyoshi, a mysterious old hermit, which means lucky monkey man.
Yeah, that's his name. Oh, here he is. Here he is with his lucky monkey. It's a chimpanzee.
And the animals of
with whiskers, by the way.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah.
I don't think I think it's a specific type of ape. But the animals of the forest and Suriyoshi help Bobby build up his strength and return to the facility in an attempt to save Tokiko. That doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of how freaking weird this movie is. So we got the kids. They get stuck in the amusement park. Cool premise. And the theme of the amusement park is basically kids killing this alien creature with
a water
guns.
gun. Yeah.
But then you can kind of see this coming a mile away is that one of those creatures is going to be real.
Yes.
And it shows up. And then it starts melting children.
Yeah, there's a moment where, because they say it like shoots this liquid that'll melt you, and it's like, okay.
It looks like cum.
Yeah, it does. And there's a bat that eats it for some reason. And then they meet up a group of kids, and you're like, okay, they got some friends, and then immediately those kids get horrifically murdered.
Yeah, like they get face melted, eye pops out. Also, wait, hold on. Then they're like, hold on, there's one kid who's been here longer than us. And then like this kid comes out looking a little bit like this.
Yeah.
So if you're watching the video, here is this. Well, the kid we meet only has one of those
eye things.
If we were describing
if you're not watching this on video, you're missing out.
To describe it to the viewers, do you know those old speakers you had to buy for your desktop computer? They're kind of bulky, kind of square. Imagine if you maybe ever held those up to your face, like on either side of your face.
Well, imagine your eyes are fused to those.
But the tubes are still coming out of the eye socket, so you kind of yank those puppies out, plug them into the speakers, and they're on the side of your head now.
No, but the weird thing about this is those people, you're like, wait, are they turning them into the robot creature? No, they're turning them into food. You're like, what does that mean? Good question.
I don't know. And also, yes, to kind of turning them into the robot people.
But also, yeah, I don't.
Basically, what we find out is this dad, this scientist, his son died, but he brought him back as this robot creature.
Yeah, that's
Big
real
question
life is
mark
a nightmare.
on what
all
part-
the nerves are exposed for
Yeah.
some reason.
And his eyes are outside of his head. I don't know how that saved him
No.
from anything. And the only way he can eat now, like at all, is by making more of those things and then kind of
He shoves it through this crane muscle mess crane creature thing.
And then the son eats the kids that have come through this muscle crane thing, and it's pretty gross. And the main character Bobby is trying to escape. He gets kind of turned into one of these things.
You know
what's
what's crazy to think about? A lot of movies have the like, oh man, kid doesn't listen to what he's told to and goes a little bit farther than he's supposed to, and he learns some lessons and grows. This does not work out for anybody in this movie.
I mean, the narrator's pretty positive about it.
Yeah, so things don't. Bobby, I think we can say saves the day. After there's a pile of bodies at the end of the movie.
No,
and then he comes home, and the narrator's like, "Listen, man, Bobby's gone through some stuff, and he's gonna keep going through some stuff, and he's no joke. Bobby is gonna have to process some things." And then he's like, "Hang in there, Bobby." And I don't even think there's a narrator earlier in the movie. The narrator just shows up for that, and he's like, "Hang in there, Bobby."
And that's the last line of the movie.
And that's been kind of our mantra. I think that's going to be the mantra for the rest of Fantastic Fest.
Hang in there, Bobby.
Hang in there, Bobby.
Bobby's skin is inside out, and he's got speakers for eyes now, and he can't eat normal food.
And he poops toxic acid goo.
I forgot about that. That like animals are attracted to.
Yeah, and
the movie's so stupid. Anywho's friends die, and it's so
parents die.
But parent dies.
Also, there's an old man that might have had a questionable relationship with a kid. He had a questionable relationship.
But then he trains Bobby and the animals to fight back. So it's like, I know
that make it better.
I know our reviews all over the place here.
But so is the movie. So.
The movie is, I will say, when I left, I was more scared of having nightmares because it was so, we got out at like 2 a.m. But now processing it, I didn't have nightmares. That's an update. I did enjoy the movie for what it is. Don't need to see it again. But I would do a screening, like a movie night, where I asked people to watch it with me.
Instead of watching the movie, I'd have my seat turned to watch the audience watching the movie.
Yeah, because I want to know. There was no preface when we got into the movie. Someone who introduced it was like, they used real liquids, which it was super out of left field for that. And she said she was in a baking costume because there was a Halloween party, of course. And she's like, I'm dressed like this for the movie. And you're like, what does that mean?
Yeah, and then you see the movie, and you're like,
You mean the Inside Out kids?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It was a good experience. And then the short in front of it.
What was the short?
That was the butterfly one.
That we don't need to talk about that one. That's a thing for you and me, and we will never need to talk about it because it's so fucking weird.
So if you're wondering what you're missing out on Fantastic, that's what you're missing. We got some great movies today. We're seeing the Donnybrook and other assorted films
and others. And there's a couple other cool premieres at Fantastic Fest this year that hopefully we'll be able to see. But also Sunday.
Yes.
If you guys are listening to this early, we're going to be doing a meetup in Austin. And just make sure you're checking our Twitters at Sam Basher,
at DJ Talks Trash, or at Only Stupid Answers.
Yank out the vowels from stupid. We'll be tweeting out info about that. Probably we're going to be meeting at the Shake Shack right next to the Alamo Draft House, South Lamar.
Probably in the afternoon-ish.
Yes. We did like around 5 last time. That's the rough time zone you should be aiming for.
But stay tuned for more.
And hang in there, Bobby. That's
hang
in there, Bobby.
Hang in there.
I don't know if we even captured how freaking weird that ending was.
To be fair, and here's the thing, man. Bobby's life is a waking nightmare at this point.
Yeah,
and it just seems like a weird. I don't know, man.
Bobby's skin's inside out. He doesn't have genitals or an asshole anymore. Everything just kind of falls out of him, and he can like shoot acid out of his mouth, and he can't eat food anymore. All of his friends are dead, and as he's walking home, he walks in, his mom sees him, and his mom's just fucking terrified. End on that screen with, hang in there, Bobby.
And he's doing like a fist pump, like, hey, it's going to be okay. And I'm like, I'm not sure it is, Bobby.
You look like a dolphin that kind of got squished into a robot's body.
So the point is, if you get a chance to see Violence Voyager, check it out.
Violence Voyage. You know what? Make it a movie night. Don't watch it by yourself.
Please don't watch it by yourself.
But if you see Halloween, because that's something that you can see, let us know what you think about that.
I'd also recommend checking out The Wind if you get a chance. And if you care about the story behind The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, it's worth seeing how it all turned out.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just it can't be what it was supposed to be. So just see what they ended up with.
Yep.
And it's good actors, so you'll probably enjoy it.
So tune in tomorrow because we're going to do another one of these videos then.
11 a.m. 11 a.m.
Yeah, 11 a.m.
Wherever we are.
Wherever we are, Central? Whatever. Anyway, see you then.
Bye-bye.